So the other day, a few days back on September 1st, Trump went on some far-right outlet that I've never heard of. I heard somebody refer to this as Newsmax. It doesn't look like Newsmax to me. It looks like some random right-wing ladies radio show, which he's doing with a webcam. I don't know. Anyway, he goes on this outlet, and by the way, this is something that's been happening more and more lately. He's been creeping further and further to the right, getting more and more conspiracy-minded, even for Trump. It's getting noticeably worse. The other day, he retweeted about 60 accounts in the morning on Truth Social, and many of them were just flat-out QAnon accounts. QAnon. I mean, the people who've been, like, verifiably wrong about every single dumb conspiracy they've floated for years now. He's retweeting them. He's doing that. By the way, somebody made a great point. That guy, Ronnie Jackson, who was his White House doctor, visited him right before he went on that, tweeting spree. And what's the speculation about Trump? Well, he takes Adderall all the time. All the time. There were, people who worked on The Apprentice with him. One dude came out and said he would literally snort Adderall. And I'm just saying that would line up with, remember the second debate? I think it was the second debate with Hillary, where Trump would talk and there'd be a lot of that going on. A lot of sniffing. Well, that's what happens when you snort something up your nose. People end up doing that a lot. So I didn't get to see Trump when he was tweeting. Nobody did. Was he sniffing? Who knows? Did he snort it? Did he pop the pills? Did he get any pills? Look, I think that's all grounds for reasonable speculation, especially since all the time on this show we talk about how, it looks like Joe Biden is dealing with the early stages of dementia. So I think it's certainly possible that guy Ronnie Jackson gave him a nice little prescription, and then Trump went ham on Truth Social in the morning. We got to see that. Well, now he goes on this show, and he says something about the January 6th rioters that is incredible. You never would have imagined he would have said this not too long ago. Remember, he had to come out and condemn what happened on January 6th because of the massive political pressure, because of the uncertainty of that moment and how crazy everything looked. He spoke out of both sides of his mouth, but he also said, we love our law enforcement, we got to be peaceful, we got to go home. Now he's singing quite a different tune. Let's listen.
We right this wrong. What can you do?
So I met with a number of times, but I met with, and I'm financially supporting people that are incredible. And
he's talking about the January 6th people. So he says he's financially supporting them? What? What does that mean? Are you paying their lawyers' fees? Okay, look, I know the types of crimes we're talking about Trump committing are different kinds of crimes. Crimes around classified and top secret information. Crimes around election interference, like when he called Georgia and said, find me 11,000 votes. But here he's like almost building the case of the prosecutors against him, because he's like, yeah, I'm totally in league with the people who stormed the Capitol and attempted to do a coup. I'm in league with them. I'm paying their lawyers' fees. I guess that's what he means, right? Unless he's paying the money that they're, in turn using on food and the electricity bill or whatever. He says he's financially supporting them. Jesus Christ, man. That's a bombshell, and that didn't get nearly enough coverage.
They were in my office actually 2 days ago. It's very much on my mind. It's a disgrace what they've done to them. What they've done to these people, it's disgraceful. And mostly, it's...
By the way, if you're watching this, take note of the face of this host. She's such it's so over the top. It's so acty. Like, she's clearly acting, but also she's simultaneously probably brainwashed and one of the cult members, right? But just look at her face. It's so, oh, you're so right, good sir. Oh, you're so right. Anyway, let's continue.
They're firemen, they're policemen, they're people in the military. They're people that were, you look at what took place with the police, where they're ushering them in and so many different things. And we're working on it very hard. We're working with legals. This radical left system, these people are sick. There's something wrong with them. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. They're sick. And they don't mind. And they're cold. They were telling me about some of the legal people on the other side. They're the most cold-hearted people. They don't care about families. They don't care about anything. They're just, and you see what they're doing with the sentencing. And I will tell you, and I'm looking at it very carefully. I've studied it. I study cases, and contributions should be made. We have to do that because, they have some good lawyers. But even the good lawyers, the
can't
judges,
be fraudulent judges.
You get before,
Amen.
Yeah, you get some of these judges that are so nasty and so.
A lot of the judges that have heard Trump's cases around the so-called rigged election were Republican judges. And they laughed his cases out of the courtroom. A lot of the judges were literally Trump-appointed judges. And they laughed his cases out of the courtroom. Rudy Giuliani tried to argue some of these rigged election cases and couldn't even understand the way to proceed in the conversation with the judge. Didn't even understand he has to bring up like the relevant statutes and make an argument. He didn't even understand that. So the judge did something called, I dismiss the case, quote, with prejudice. Which is, it's just a sign that, you know, Giuliani was such an incompetent lawyer that, you know, this doesn't clear the bare minimum bar to proceed forward. Okay, he's not done yet. Trump is not done yet.
Angry, mean, the sentences. And I will tell you, I will look very, very favorably about full pardons. If I decide to run and if I win, I will be looking very, very strongly about pardons.
Amen.
Full pardons.
Well deserved.
I think that's probably going to be the best, because even if they go for 2 months or 6 months, I mean, you know, they have sentences that go a lot longer than that.
Years and
but
years.
We'll be looking very, very seriously at full pardons, because we can't let that happen. What's happened here, and I mean full pardons with an apology to men.
Full pardons with an apology. Again, talking about January 6th and the people who stormed the Capitol on January 6th. Okay. All right, look. I'll give you guys a little bit more information here. This is in Business Insider. This is from about a week ago. At least 903 people have been charged in the Capitol insurrection so far. 903. Now, they go on to show some of the crimes of the people involved. By the way, many of them, assault. Like assaulting law enforcement on that day. See? Assault. Jonathan Copeland. Assault. Bobby Wayne Russell. There's other things here too. But, you know, assault seems like a big one. Especially for the people who yelp and scream and bitch and moan about law and order. We believe in law and order. We back the blue. That's what we do. We love law enforcement. Apparently not, because a lot of these people assaulted law enforcement. Another one, assault. 903 people, assault. Assault. Okay. So far, 376 have entered guilty pleas. 376. Now, look, if you want to make a super nuanced argument and an intelligent argument about, okay, was it really 906 people who were violent on that day, who clearly committed crimes? Like, what do you do about somebody who maybe didn't storm the Capitol, as in didn't, like, lead the charge, break the windows, or break down doors, bum rush law enforcement, wasn't trying to get into the Senate chamber, wasn't stealing stuff out of there, whatever. What do you do with somebody who was like, you know, 20 or 30 minutes behind the people who let in, and they just kind of walked in and wandered around and never committed any violence and left? What do you do with those people? If you want to make an argument, hey, you know, those people, maybe there shouldn't be charges, or it should be very, very reduced charges. I'm open to that conversation, because I think you do have to make a distinction between peaceful protesters versus violent protesters, you know, who's rioting, who's not rioting at all, who's, you know, calling for peace amid some of the people that are going way too far, and they're looking at it and going, oh my God, this is going to be terrible. Stop, don't do that. I do think there's a spectrum, and there are gradations. Hey, who's worse, who's better, what's actually a crime, what's not. And maybe you make the argument, it wasn't 903 people who committed violence. Maybe, let's say, for argument's sake, it's half that. You want to say, hey, half of them, you know, maybe release them or maybe lower their charges or whatever. I'm open to that conversation, because I believe in nuance. In the same way, when there's some, you know, some riot, some Black Lives Matter group, and there's a riot, and, you know, some percentage of people are breaking windows and burning down businesses, yeah, charge those people. But if it's somebody holding a placard and just walking around and they never committed any violence on their own, should that person go to jail? No, of course not. So you have to be nuanced and you have to be intelligent in how you go about this. But he's not making any distinctions. Trump isn't. And if anything, he makes you feel like, or the implication is, the ones who were the most violent and who were leading the charge and who were the thought leaders and the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys, and whatever, the 3%ers, if that's even the name of the group. Like, those people are the people who I support, who I like, who I'm, you know, financially helping out. And now I'm talking about full pardons with an apology. So in other words, your argument is these people, 903 of them, or however many, they're American heroes. And, you know, these were the people, the patriots who were standing up for the country and trying to do what's right. This appears to be what he really believes. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is psycho. That is psychopathic stuff. That is insane. And as I said, further evidence of him shifting further and further and further and further right, going more and more into conspiracy land. I mean, I used to say about Trump that he lost his, like, fake populist touch and he became the Fox News grandpa. He's well beyond being the Fox News grandpa now. He is the QAnon grandpa. QAnon or One America News or Newsmax. This is what's going on with him now. And, you know, we've never seen anything like it before. Ever. So, I mean, you watch this and you say to yourself, oh my God, if this guy becomes president again, Jesus fucking Christ. It's Trump Unchained. You know, it is, Lord only knows what the fuck he's going to do to his political opponents. Because there's nothing holding him back. There's nothing that guides him about morality or ethics or principles or even policy. It's all just roided up narcissism, or I should say Adderalled up narcissism and selfishness and petty personal grievance. And it would be a nightmare, man. So, I mean, I think he should go down on charges because he committed so many crimes. But at the very least, there needs to be some sort of stain officially on his record that prevents him from becoming president again, because we're really rolling the dice here with just out and out authoritarianism. And that's me being kind using that word. I don't disagree when people use the F word these days, the fascist word, because I do think it meets the definition and the criteria if you go through it and you're intellectually honest about what these people think and where they fall. So anyway, there you have it. Trump saying full pardons for the January 6 people, full pardons and apologies for them. And he's financially supporting them. I think that says a lot. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal, Kyle, and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.